When someone stays composed under pressure, you trust them more. It is almost automatic. Research confirms that self-control is one of the fastest signals your brain reads for credibility, competence, and emotional maturity. But here is where most people get it wrong. The psychology of self-control has almost nothing to do with feeling less. It is about something far more specific and far more trainable than most of us were ever taught. Instead of a mysterious force of character, neuroscientists define self-control as a suite of highly coordinated executive functions. When we observe someone exercising restraint, we are witnessing the outward result of a complex neural network actively managing internal conflict, rather than a blank emotional slate. This process relies on three primary pillars. First is inhibitory control, which is the cognitive capacity to stop a dominant automatic reaction in its tracks. This mechanism works in tandem with goal-directed delay, the ability to keep a representation of a future objective active in the mind even when immediate temptations are present. Far from being separate systems, managing emotional reactions and resisting physical impulses rely on this exact same internal regulatory machinery. Cognitive neuroscience maps this process to top-down signaling from the prefrontal cortex, specifically the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, down to subcortical regions like the amygdala and the striatum. While the amygdala registers immediate emotional threats and the striatum processes reward cues, the prefrontal cortex dampens these lower-level signals. This intervention steers behavior away from immediate urges and toward long-term values. Research in control circuits, including work by neuroscientist Elliot Berkman, indicates that this capacity is highly plastic. It functions more like a physical skill developed through practice than an unchangeable personality trait. Effortless composure under pressure is actually a highly active biological negotiation, one that reflects a brain executing well-trained neural pathways rather than simply hiding its own feelings. In the late 1960s, Stanford University psychologist Walter Mischel designed an experiment to observe this cognitive negotiation in real time. He placed children aged 4 to 6 in a room with a single treat, offering a simple choice: eat the one treat immediately or wait 15 minutes to receive a second one. This simple design, known as the marshmallow test, quickly became the defining symbol of delayed gratification and future-oriented control. Early follow-up studies suggested that the ability to wait predicted higher academic achievement and better health outcomes decades later. Subsequent replication efforts introduced clear limitations to this straightforward narrative. When researchers controlled for socioeconomic status, family background, and maternal education, the direct link between childhood waiting times and adult success diminished significantly. Children from unpredictable environments often choose the immediate reward because experience has taught them that promised future rewards rarely materialize, making immediate consumption a rational decision. Delaying gratification is a rational strategy of future orientation, shaped heavily by environmental reliability, rather than a reflection of moral superiority. Stanford psychologist James Gross clarified this boundary in 1998 through his process model of emotion regulation, which distinguishes cognitive reappraisal from expressive suppression. Reappraisal is an early-stage strategy. A person changes how they understand a situation to naturally alter its emotional impact. For example, viewing a difficult task as an opportunity rather than a threat prevents severe stress from developing. In contrast, expressive suppression is a late-stage strategy that merely attempts to hide the outward display of an emotion that has already occurred. While masking a reaction can temporarily preserve appearances, it increases internal physiological strain, raising heart rate and blood pressure, while eroding social trust. Observers often sense the mismatch between tense body language and a blank face, interpreting this forced restraint as emotional coldness. Effective regulation does not erase the underlying feeling, but instead shapes the behavioral response. By practicing reappraisal, individuals manage difficult moments while maintaining authentic warmth and connection. This healthy form of self-control commands respect because it signals genuine internal balance rather than a fragile defensive mask. This internal friction operates through two distinct cognitive pathways: a fast, emotionally driven system and a slower, reflective counterpart. The rapid system reacts instantly to immediate rewards, demanding gratification the moment temptation appears. In contrast, the slower system maintains a clear mental representation of long-term goals, keeping future outcomes in focus. Under acute pressure, however, this balance falters. Stress narrows a person's cognitive horizon, shrinking their perceived options down to the immediate moment. Because of this, practicing self-control is rarely about sheer willpower. It is about buying a few critical seconds to prevent an automatic reaction from hardening into an irreversible action. By shifting attention or establishing early commitments, an individual keeps their reflective system online before the immediate urge dominates, transforming fleeting choices into deliberate adult decisions. In a high-pressure office, a sudden project failure triggers an automatic impulse to assign blame. When a manager overrides this reaction, choosing instead to pause and gather information, the team's perception changes. This measured response is read as professional competence rather than indifference. By choosing how to respond rather than reacting instantly, the manager stabilizes the team and maintains authority. This regulatory capacity is equally important in personal relationships. During an argument, partners often fall into escalations of defense and attack. Within Sue Johnson's framework of emotionally focused therapy, couples learn to disrupt this cycle through active de-escalation. A partner pauses, labels their underlying vulnerability, and practices reflective listening instead of shouting. This intentional pause prevents a physiological hijack, fostering safe attachment through mutual responsiveness rather than reactive defense. In personal finance, relying on constant, moment-to-moment resistance to spending prompts is a losing strategy. Instead, smart environmental design offloads this cognitive burden. Setting up automatic savings transfers eliminates the recurring decision-making conflict. By automating the choice, individuals bypass the need for active restraint, achieving long-term stability through system design rather than depletable willpower. On a larger scale, a public-facing leader facing a crisis provides stability through a composed, non-defensive presence. When a leader acknowledges a critical issue clearly and outlines a systematic recovery plan without emotional outbursts, they reduce collective anxiety. Observers feel secure, trusting the leader's credibility because their outward composure reflects genuine internal control. Observers naturally decode external composure as a signal of internal stability. When an individual maintains a steady presence under pressure, it reduces unpredictability for those around them, offering a reliable cue of trustworthiness and mature judgment. Yet this capacity is not a static moral resource. Regulatory control is deeply sensitive to physical and environmental realities. Sleep loss, chronic stress, and systemic scarcity directly diminish the brain's executive capacity, altering how self-control is expressed. Historically, researchers described willpower as a depletable resource, a model known as ego depletion. However, recent replication failures have highly contested this framework, shifting the scientific consensus toward motivational and environmental factors. Ultimately, restraint is not a simple metric of personal character, but a complex outcome shaped by a person's immediate environment and biological limits. Psychologists now treat self-control as a cognitive skill developed through practice rather than an unchangeable, inherited trait. Angela Duckworth's research shows that long-term perseverance builds gradually when individuals focus on consistent, daily habits rather than immediate perfection. To bridge the gap between intention and action, psychologist Peter Gollwitzer introduced implementation intentions, using simple if-then plans to automate choices before a temptation arises. This approach relies on environmental design, such as removing distractions from a workspace to reduce decision-making friction. Physical factors like reliable nutrition and supportive social relationships further protect the brain's executive capacity. Rather than suppressing internal emotions, these structured strategies enable individuals to acknowledge their immediate feelings while choosing responses that match their long-term values. True control becomes a matter of design, not struggle. In an age of endless distraction, self-control is not emotional suppression. It is the ultimate act of personal freedom. It is how we consciously choose who we become. How do you practice mindful regulation in your daily life? Share your thoughts below.